Good morning and welcome to the Senior Hour, which is sponsored by Comfort Keepers in Home Care and Advanced Audiology. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host,
Dr. Jean Dorio.
On your hometown station, KHTS. This is a show for, about, and by seniors, giving information to enhance one's quality of life. And our guests this morning are Caren Knott of Gia Wellness Company. And later in the hour, we will be speaking with Gabe Perez, who's a physical therapist from Henry Mayo Hospital. Welcome, Caren. How are you?
I'm well, thanks.
Welcome.
Good. And what is Gia Wellness Company?
Gia Wellness is a holistic health and wellness company that we have patented products and technologies that we bring to the world in primarily those important categories of life, hydration, energy, and nourishment. So, and I think today, as we talk about how that relates to seniors, we're going to focus a lot on hydration.
Very good. Very good.
So how do you, Caren, I'm a physician, and I think the biggest problem that Gia and most other companies who are in the holistic field is convincing medical doctors that what you are trying to say and put forward to our society is that there's something good about holistic medicine. For me, as our listeners already know, I believe in holistic medicine. I believe in acupuncture, acupressure, chiropractic, and I believe in the medicinal use of marijuana for our pain management patients. So I'm already a believer.
Right.
But how does your company and how do we convince our listeners that the worthiness of holistic medicine and what is being practiced out there now?
I think, like anything else, seeing is believing. And so a lot of people, we're all in with everything you mentioned as far as integrative medicine. And we know that everybody reacts differently to different things. But we also know that water, for example, is a critical element of life. And the statistics now show that 75% of the population is chronically dehydrated, even though we're drinking more water as a population than ever before. So what we do is we just, when it comes to our water system, which is called the iWater system, it's a water restructuring system, and it's restructuring the water molecules, making the water 400 times thinner than conventional water. So the hydration capabilities are 3 to 5 times greater. But I can say all that to you until you see some evidence of it. So what we do is we just give away the water, and we explain to people there's certain guidelines and precautions. We invite everybody to try the water, but to start slowly, not to drink, 24 to 48 ounces in their first day. Because of the viscosity of this water, not only is it hugely impactful on your hydration, but it's the detoxification. It's so thin, it's going to get deep in cells where conventional water isn't going to reach. And so it's going to start pulling those toxins, and the last thing we want to do is send anybody into a detox. So we advise them to start very slowly. I personally advise them to not swallow prescription medication with the iWater, because that medication is designed to go in at a certain rate, a certain speed, and we don't want to alter that. But so to try it, and we've seen remarkable results.
Now, it's called iWater?
It is. It's
Not
iWater.
Not E-Y-E.
No, it's I, the letter I for intelligence. IH2O is what the system is called. And like I said, it is an in-home system, sits on your kitchen sink, and you start out with good quality drinking water, because you don't want to take water that isn't filtered, that isn't clean, and make it 400 times thinner and start drinking it. So you start with your own good quality water, and then you fill this unit. You press a button, in 30 minutes, that water has been restructured. It's thinner. At that point, it's got antibacterial, antifungal, and anti-inflammatory properties. And so, speaking again to seniors, my parents are 90 and 91, really blessed. They live on their own. They go to the store. They cook their own food. But I'm very familiar with, issues with seniors just because of my own parents. And I think my grandchildren, for example, have water bottles. with their own favorite cartoon characters. I mean, this is the day we live in. We all walk around, we all walk in here with something to drink. My mom and dad did not. I was not raised to leave the house with water. And so it's a bit of educating people about taking water in and how critical water is. And as you know, every fluid in our body is 80 to 90% water. So if you think about that, so many people are chronically dehydrated, and if the brain is up to 90% water and we're dehydrated, how clear can we focus? You know, how in tuned are we? The digestive process is hugely important in keeping our immune system at its best. And if we're not digesting food properly, and there again, like I said, I know I'm singing to the choir about the importance of every fluid in your body. The synovial fluid in your joints is 80-some% water. So if you're dehydrated, again, what's happening with your joints? And I don't know the exact statistic, but it's something like 45% of all chronic illness is linked to inflammation. So if we can do something about reducing the inflammation in our bodies, extremely helpful.
Well, where do you find this eye water?
You buy it through our company. We have consultants all over the valley that sell the units. But like I said, we have something going right now called Operation Hydration, where we are giving the water away for people to try. We're doing a little survey with them. How do you, what's your age? Do you look or feel younger? Do you, what's your stress level? What's your joy level? And then we give them the water for a week, and we touch base through the week, see if they have any questions, and then we run that same survey again a week later. And
are you doing that up here in Santa Clarita?
We are. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
How do I get involved with that? Because it's interesting. I'd like to
You
find
can
out more about it.
you can contact me right here. I can give everyone my phone number, and I'll walk them through. I'll get all their questions answered. You can also call the radio station and ask for Jerry, but her time frame is pretty packed. So, I can give my number out there, and everyone's welcome to call me.
Interesting. Well, why don't you do that now before I forget?
Okay. So you can
You might need some water, Barbara.
Yeah, I will. I just happen to have some. And my number is 818-203-6063. And one of the things I wanted to mention about seniors and dehydration, and I think you've probably seen this, but a lot of people don't think about this, is one of the symptoms that show up is urinary tract infections. Mm-hmm. And I've seen this in multiple parents of my friends, and it turns out it was a case of being dehydrated. And one of them, even that kind of went into, it seemed like she had instant onset dementia, is what it was. And when she was taken to the hospital, they hooked her up and got her hydrated, and it seemed everything just resolved itself very quickly. So, everybody is different. We never know how you're going to react, but what we do know is everybody needs water.
And, it's one of my more interesting stories, and is that I had a patient that came in, and her mental status was poor, and they did say in the emergency room she must have dementia. But I ordered IV hydration. I put her on oxygen. I added an antibiotic. I got cultures on her as well with blood and urine. And when I came in the next, a few hours later, about 8 hours later, I saw someone who was back to normal. Mm-hmm. And the only problem was that her antibiotics that I had ordered had not been given to her. So I knew at that point that the hydration by itself had changed everything. Mm-hmm. And if not that she could have maintained herself at home with her hydration and stayed out of the hospital, but the fact was it did play a role. We have a textbook which is about 1,400 pages. I mean, it's as thick as a telephone book, and it's the Bible for internal medicine. And in that book, there's a half a page that considers dehydration. That's it. So that's, as medical students and as doctors, we are not taught about what the role that hydration and dehydration plays. When one gets infected, they tend to not eat as well. They're nauseous. They're throwing up. possibly, or with diarrhea. They're losing fluids, they become dehydrated, and then their mental state changes, and they get what we call encephalopathic. And people think, oh, they've sudden onset of Alzheimer's, which Alzheimer's by definition is not really a sudden onset. So, we know that something has acutely gone on. But, interestingly enough, 30 years ago, I saw this problem occur, and I realized the role that dehydration plays. And plus, as an athlete, now and in the past, and Barbara knows too, we know how our seniors here, especially here in Santa Clarita, it gets to 110. Right. And they are on a diuretic, and they get dehydrated. So there are problems related to sustaining and maintaining one's hydration, especially as a senior, Caren, to make sure that health and fitness are maintained.
The other thing, too, is you drink bottled water that's in the plastic container. Water in a plastic container is very dangerous. Mm-hmm. Very dangerous. This has glass in it.
And she's referring to her really, really pretty fancy
Yes, it is, isn't it? I got that from Dr. Palucki. Uh-huh. It's nice.
But we know that has been brought up as a major problem as well. And, I was involved in the Gatorade study, not to plug them, but in the Gatorade study in 1967. And 2 years before it even came out, but I was one of their guinea pigs that was given Gatorade as an athlete to see how well that worked. And, they always said it makes you a fourth quarter team. We were already a fourth quarter team, but it made it even better for us because, I remember my first year playing, we didn't have Gatorade. And then after that with hydration, boom, it was, for me, it was totally different. And I've, even sitting behind me is a plastic bottle, unfortunately, with color in it. But I've been drinking it for all these years, for almost 50 years now. And, maybe one day I'll say that it may have hurt me because of the plastic. But right now I know my hydration level has always been sustained. Right. And, Caren, you hit it right on the button. I mean, it's, our seniors have to know that as we get older, we have to maintain our hydration. And, your parents being 90 and 91 years old, they probably know it too because they've made it this far. So how do you also talk to patients who have problems with their volumes, whose legs get swollen from renal disease or congestive heart failure? How do you talk to them about making sure they don't take too much water?
Well, again, not being a doctor, I try and caution everybody, speak to your doctors. And as you say, it's difficult to speak with the medical community because they're not always open to something. But this is water. This is one of the most basic elements of life. And if they want to investigate it more, there is a 300 and some page book, the peer-reviewed studies and the patents and everything that went into it. I don't own that book because I'm not a doctor and it would be Greek to me, but I can speak to personal experience and that you do need to listen to your body. But we advise everyone to start out incredibly slow and allow that detox process to begin. And then it's amazing when you hydrate the body. Our bodies are, as you know, designed to heal ourselves, to do the repair. And so we're just balancing the body. We're just pulling out the excess toxins that have been trapped in those cells for sometimes years, hydrating all the organs, all the fluids, and letting the body begin to do its own work.
And everybody has to remember each cell is a little factory. Exactly. And that the chemical reactions that take place within the cell walls are continual. It's not a two-dimensional thing, it's three-dimensional. And these cells, inflate and deflate depending on how much water they have. When they deflate and they're dehydrated, these cells, it means that their chemical functions are not going to do well. For instance, if it's in your brain or in your heart or in your kidneys, it won't function as well. So you want to try to sustain and maintain the volume in each one of those cells. And the only way you can really do that is through hydration.
And if I could speak to that, this is a key part of our technology. In 2003, I believe it was, Nobel Prize-winning research by Dr. Peter Agri, I believe his name was, and he discovered aquaporins. And aquaporins are the little water channels going into each and every cell. And his discovery showed that that's the only way water can enter into the cell is through these aquaporins. And these aquaporins are one molecule size wide. That's the opening. So what the eye water system does in taking your conventional eye water, which that molecule is structured very, very chaotically, like a Rubik's Cube, to visualize it. And in a 30-minute time frame, it puts that water into what we call single file alignment, like a strand of pearls, just the size of that aquaporin. So anything you take in is only as good as your body's ability to absorb and utilize it.
Yes.
And this is why the hydration with the eye water is so superb, because it is in that structure that's going to be allowed. And when we're born, that's the structure of the water in our bodies. And as we go on through life, our bodies have to convert conventional water. Our kids are amazing at making that conversion. But the older we get,
they're young.
Exactly. The older we get, like how many times we hear that sentence, the less effective we are at making that conversion, thus leading with seniors and a lot of us to more dehydration, more easily dehydrated.
Well, now, why is this not more commonly known? Your organization.
Well, doctors don't know it, so I think maybe Gia is trying to get this out there to some of the physicians. How important hydration is, and you and I both know that.
I know that.
Both being athletic, and we remain hydrated, and we put that forward with our listeners, so they already pretty much know that. But the general population does not know.
It's the company, though.
We're a new company. We're 7 years old, so we're kind of ground floor, and the company chose to do this through a network marketing platform, giving each of us the opportunity to work it as we saw fit. And
well, I sure am glad you came on today.
Oh, I'm glad to be
wow.
here.
Because this is something completely new to me.
Well, we're happy. That's my mission and purpose, is to share information.
Well, you've got me hooked.
Okay, great.
What do you do? Buy at the unit or rent the unit? Or
you can buy the unit. Everyone can have their own. Wow. They have multiple ways to do that.
Wow. Caren, this has been incredible. What, you learn something new every day, don't you?
We do.
Because you're hydrated.
Caren, it was wonderful having you here.
Well,
and
you.
I hope all of our listeners take to mind what you have been talking about.
Okay.
I think that's very, it's eye-opening. Eye-opening. It really is. Wow.
And once again, that contact number is 818-203-6063.
That's
Caren
correct.
Knott, that's Knott, and it's Gia, G-I-A.
Gia. Growth, inspiration, and abundance.
G-I-A, though.
Gia.
Is that how it's spelled? Not like Gia Pet, is it?
No, it is not. That's
chia. That's
chia.
Chia. Oh, okay. But you put water on that and it grows too. So a lot of little aspects here.
Wow. Gia Wellness Company. Fantastic. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Caren.
I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, KHTS.
The Santa Clarita Artists Association has a new gallery in downtown Newhall on 6th Street between Main and Railroad, right across from the Canyon Theater Guild. The gallery features our members' paintings, sculptures, and one-of-a-kind handcrafted gift items. Whether you're an art lover, buyer, or an artist wishing to join, visit our website at santaclaritaartist.org, come to our free monthly meetings at Barnes & Noble, or stop by the gallery. For upcoming events and exhibits, check us out at santaclaritaartist.org. We make visual art visible.
Come join me, Arif Halby, for Total Financial Solutions Safer Money Hour. Every Tuesday at noon, we uncover ways to help you manage your money, get out of debt, and prepare for your retirement. That's every Tuesday at noon on Total Financial Solutions Safer Money Hour. Are you not sure if you can retire yet? Listen to us and learn about tips for savings, retirement strategies, and so much more. That's every Tuesday at noon on Total Financial Solutions Safer Money Hour on your hometown station, KHTS.
Olive Terrace Bar and Grill is the hottest new Mediterranean fusion restaurant in Santa Clarita with unique delicacies like seafood right off the boat, mouth-watering prime steaks, artesian sandwiches, delicious pastas, and tasty kebabs. Unwind on their cozy outdoor patio at their weekend champagne brunch. Full menu and weekly specials at oliveterracebarandgrill.com. Check out their full bar and happy hour daily specials in Valencia on Copper Hill and Newhall Ranch Road by LA Fitness. Olive Terrace Bar and Grill, delicious food seasoned with love.
Your Friday nights just got even better. Vine's Restaurant at Hyatt Valencia is making your next date night easy with their prime rib buffet, featuring slow-roasted prime rib, homemade soup, fresh shrimp salad, and a whole lot more for only $29.50. The Vine's Restaurant new prime rib buffet, Friday nights at the Hyatt. Make your next Friday date night at the Vines. And keep every day of your week happy at the Vines Lounge and Patio. Happy hour 4 to 7 p.m. daily, featuring $5 appetizers and drinks.
At Advanced Audiology, we know how important hearing is to you, your loved ones, your work success, your safety, and your ability to stay in the game. Most people won't admit hearing loss to themselves or others. We make it easy for you. Today's digital hearing aids come in a variety of styles, including invisible. All feature-rich, providing unparalleled hearing quality, wearing comfort, and automation that simplifies your life. Don't be fooled by our imitators. There's only one Advanced Audiology with the purple sign next to AAA on Valencia Boulevard.
There's a very good reason Gilbertson and LeCornu have been voted Santa Clarita's #1 orthodontist for 8 years in a row.
There's a lot of orthodontists in our community and a lot of really great doctors.
Dr. Megan LeCornu.
Artistically, I like nice big smiles. Those are the smiles that wow people. So in all my treatment planning, I don't do a one-size-fits-all. I look at the patient's facial structure and I match their smile to their facial structure.
Dr. Megan LeCornu of Gilbertson and LeCornu.
Embrace your smile.
EmbraceYourSmile.com.
Hometown.
Traffic report, simple news, weather, and lots of music. They pretty much play everything.
Your hometown station.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, KHTS. And our next guest is Gabriel Perez, better known as Gabe.
Yeah, of course.
That's easier. That's easier. Your tongue doesn't get tied.
There you go.
Anyway, Gabe is a physical therapist at Henry Mayo Hospital. And welcome.
Oh, thank you guys for having me.
And tell us a little bit about physical therapy and how good it is for us, especially as seniors.
Oh, of course. So, I mean, I don't know if you guys had any experience with physical therapy.
Yes, I have.
There you go. So what physical therapy is, we're experts in movement. So we attempt to analyze movement and correct any impairments that we may have, and in doing so, help you improve your quality of life. Mm-hmm. So whether it's a strength deficit, balance deficit, or some sort of neurological impairment, we try to rehabilitate you to have the best outcomes that are possible within your situation.
So for all of us who are listening to the show and speaking here, our problem is that we're getting older. And our joints,
we are.
We stand up and we go, ugh, and we can hear our joints creaking. We feel our balance going. There's so many things that occur with our aging process, but one of the things, Gabe, is to stay active and stay active as active as we can. For our seniors who are listening now, if someone were to walk in the door and they're 86 years old and they're saying, I'm getting a little tired and I feel a little squeaky, I want to see what Gabe wants me to do to make sure that I have some continual activity. What would you tell them, Gabe?
Well, to start, doing things on your own. We live in a society where a lot of people feel that, I need to take care of my mother, I need to take care of my father, it's for their best interests. Well, that being said, safety is their best interest, which is very key, but to wait on them hand and foot is actually detrimental.
True. That's right.
I always encourage people, whether it's a caregiver or a family member, to, allow your older adult, your dad, mom, grandmother, grandfather, to do things on their own, whether it's some sort of chore, taking care of an animal, just being as active as possible at home to encourage independence. Because, again, a lot of the things we see in the hospital and in the outpatient clinics are these people complain about, I'm too tired to exercise. I'm too tired to do these things. And then when my follow-up question to them is, well, what do you do during the day? I watch TV all day. I don't, I don't have time. I can't find time in my day to do exercise. Well, that's because their days become laying in bed and sitting most of the time. So we try to encourage them to participate in their life, because just because you're 80 or 90 doesn't mean that you need to not do anything. In fact, you need to do more than, or you need to force yourself to do more than you typically would want to.
Mm-hmm. But you know something, Gabe? Being at Henry Mayo Hospital for 30 years now, it's a 2-story building, and there is a basement, which
Sure.
most of us never go to the basement. Mm-hmm. So what bothers me more than anything else is, as I'm walking down the halls on the second floor or the first floor, I always see people crowded around the elevator, and I can't understand why they're not walking the steps. Now, I will tell you, in 30 years, I've never taken an elevator at Henry Mayo Hospital.
Right.
Never. And that's just a part of who I am. I'm not going to do that in a 2-story building. When it builds up to the 5-story tower, I'm still going to walk the steps.
Sure.
As I've been in buildings back east that were 7 or 8 stories, and even here in California, I never took an elevator there too.
Right.
So you're right. For our senior parents who are out there, our seniors who are listening, water the garden, go tend your plants, take care of vegetables, walk your dog, walk your cat too if you can. But you have to continue to do the things that make life worthy, and part of that is then exercising. And if you do those things, then when you're 86 years old, like this woman that I'm talking about, you'll get up and you'll stay in good health because of it.
Correct. And again, it not only is just exercising important, but again, you need to, if there are some sort of impairment, you need to address these impairments, or else, a lot of patients come in, they say, oh, I walk all the time. Isn't that enough? It may be enough when you were younger, but walking should be an efficient task. So you don't need as much, you're not going to build as much strength as you would exercising or doing something a little more strenuous. You have to challenge the body, or else it'll just stay at the status quo. It'll do whatever it's used to doing. You have to push yourself a little bit in order to gain new strength, gain new confidence, gain increased cardiovascular endurance, things of that nature.
I did a house call yesterday on a gentleman who he was a coach, opera coach, voice coach. So for 50 years, he helped those who were singers sustain their diaphragmatic push and airways, all that stuff. But it was so funny because he's 83 years old and he's up and about, but he has, he has an impairment.
Sure.
He has a walking impairment with the spinal stenosis.
Of course.
But he gets around that he uses a walker, but he sat down and I asked him, what exercises do you do? And he says, see that over there? And it was one of those thigh things that you kind of push together with your thigh. Well, he wasn't using it for that. He was using it for his upper body. And he says, when a commercial comes on, I just squeeze this thing quick, real 10 times. And so I said, oh yeah, that's easy. And I tried to do this. I did it 10 times, but I was like, So no, people find ways even with impairment to make sure that the rest of their body stays in shape.
Of course,
Well,
and that's great for that gentleman.
It's interesting, as you get older, your mind still goes 90 miles an hour, but your body doesn't go as fast as your mind wants to go, and that's
And again, I do, when I talk to these older adults, when I see them in the clinic, I do have to take a step back and say, yes, it is easy for me to say, get up and move.
Right.
But for them, it may not be.
Well, it's interesting because if I have to get down on my hands and knees to clean a cupboard or something like that, I have a hard time getting up by myself without holding on to something to help me up. And I'm thinking, what is this, Barbara? You're getting old. But, a challenge for you, Jean. Go to Paris, France.
Oh.
And climb the Eiffel Tower.
There you are.
How many steps is that?
640.
That's right. And Barbara did it.
On my 75th birthday.
Good for you.
It was, it had always been something that I wanted to do,
And when you got to the top.
We were on a Viking riverboat cruise, and we spent 3 days in Paris, touring.
And that was one of your challenges of life.
That was one of my challenges. I said,
on your bucket list.
I said, Russ, I've got to climb the Eiffel Tower. Well, we went up and we had to buy tickets.
To climb the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
To torture yourself.
And Russ said, you're paying to climb the Eiffel Tower? I said, absolutely, I'm going to do it. I said, you can take the lift up, the whatever it is, the elevator. You can take that up, but I'm walking.
Wow.
And it was a challenge.
That's not
it
like
really was.
first floor to second floor at Henry Mayo Hospital.
No, nothing like
So
it.
when you got to the top, you dropped your keys and you couldn't get up after you tried to pick them up, right? But no,
Well,
that's
it's
congratulations. That is
interesting,
so awesome.
It was interesting because I walked and walked and walked until my legs didn't want to go any further. So then I would stop they had, little alcoves there where you could take pictures and that kind of
You mean
thing
like
and
pubs
walk
and
around it.
saloons and things like that?
And then when I felt better, I would go on up. But I couldn't come down as fast as I went up because
but
I
you
have
walked down too?
Oh yeah.
So
But I have trifocals.
Oh.
And that was my problem. I had to look down at the steps.
What's that
when I
perception?
go down.
The perception was
Oh.
off, so you don't know how far down you're stepping.
That's right. It's easy going up.
Right.
But going down, that's a challenge.
But it's using even different muscles, isn't it, Gabe, when you're coming down?
There's different types of strength. There's concentric strength and there's eccentric strength. You need more strength to do an eccentric movement, which is typically when you step down, you're lowering yourself with gravity. So gravity's pulling you down, but you're also going down at the same time. So you need a lot of strength to control that.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's kind of where you need even more strength to go down, even though it seems counterintuitive. It seems like you would need more strength to go up, but in fact you need more to go down, which a lot of people have a hard time dealing with. Same thing going down a hill or whatnot, or uneven terrain.
Right.
You need different types of strength in order to make sure you don't fall on your face.
You do, because you can really tell the difference when
not
you're
only that, you're
walking
fatigued from just
downstairs.
walking up this. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I also climbed the Leaning Tower of Pizza.
Oh, wow.
That was quite a challenge. And
Well,
that thing does lean. It's amazing.
I'm sure.
It does. You've got to go to Italy.
Oh, well.
You do. You've got to go to France, and you have to go to Italy while you're still young.
Young enough.
I had to put that in.
But let's go to New York, and maybe we can try the Empire State Building.
I've climbed that also.
Jeez.
Wow. I've climbed that
you
also.
You are awesome. They always have that race to the top, right? I think it's there, and I think in Chicago they also have a race to the top, and the best ones are the firemen and women who hoof it up, because they have to carry
like
all
60 pounds of equipment
and hoses and things like that, and that's, to be honest with you, they're in tip-top shape. I met a woman a young girl, 31 years old, but she's a firefighter for San Francisco. And they're constantly training because of the buildings. There are earthquakes, fires, constantly training. And, you could tell she was in tip-top shape. But, for our seniors, Gabe, what do you do? What do you tell our seniors in terms of exercise? Is water aerobics better? Is Tai Chi better, or is it depend on the individual?
It really depends on the individual, but for just your general, healthy older adult, I would say like water aerobics is good because if you lose your balance in the water, you're not going to fall.
Mm-hmm. You could drown.
You could drown, yes, but considering that you should be able to, you've been in a pool before, you're not fearful of water, that water aerobics is good to do balance exercise in. Again, it's not as functional, meaning it doesn't translate as much into real life situations. That's where Tai Chi might be a little more beneficial because we don't live in water. But again, you're training your body to kind of encounter these situations where you're off balance. Because again, a lot of older adults tend to avoid things where they feel off balance. So then when they're forced into a situation, whether it's walking in the dark, walking on grass where it's uneven, things of that nature, their body kind of forgets what to do, so it doesn't have the ability to adjust and maintain your balance. So in regards to the balance exercise for your general healthy older adult, Tai Chi's great, water aerobics, just movement in general. And again, something that's safe and effective. Something that you're going to enjoy. Dancing's great. You don't think of it as exercise, but really it is exercise, and you're challenging. You're doing footwork. You're doing single leg balance, as long as you can tolerate it. And again, with physical therapy, it's our job to identify impairments. And so if something that there's something that you would like to do, we would go ahead and do an evaluation, see what deficits you may have, whether it's proprioceptive, knowing where your body is in space, vestibular, maintaining balance, your head position, and just overall, strength and balance strategies that you may have or lack.
So how important is muscle strengthening? This opera singer coach, he was using this Thigh Master for his upper body, and that was obviously strengthening. But how important is resistance training and muscle strengthening important for our seniors as well?
Strengthening is very important. You need to maintain strength. Without strength, despite how well all your other balance systems are working, it won't matter because you won't be able to hold yourself up against gravity. That being said, strength alone won't allow for good balance. It's one component of your balance system. So without good strength, you won't be able to stand. But just because you're very strong doesn't mean you'll be able to hold yourself up in situations which might be impairing your balance. Again, if you have poor vision or neuropathy in the feet, you won't be able to feel the floor. You won't be able to see where you're going. So walking in a dark room may be very hazardous to you because, again, you might be very strong, but you're put in a situation where your senses are off, so you're not going to be able to identify how to adjust to these situations.
Well, that's my problem. I have neuropathy.
Right.
It was as a result of chemotherapy treatment for cancer. And I'll get up in the morning or during the middle of the night, and I have a tendency to just bound out of bed. Well, it doesn't work anymore.
Right.
When I bound out of bed, I almost fall on my face.
Exactly.
So I've learned, Barbara, stretch, take control of yourself, and get out of bed slowly.
And a lot of it is, simple as turning on a light.
That's true.
If you turn on the light, you'll be able to use the vision that you have. It won't be as impaired.
Right.
And therefore, you can orient yourself to your environment.
Yeah, it's very interesting. As you get older, there's so much that can go wrong with your body.
Sure. Things you take for granted.
Yes, exactly. It's just amazing. Oops, and I think we see an evil eye over there telling us, take a break here. Well, let's take a break, Gabe. We'll be back in a minute.
Sure.
I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, KHTS.
I just want to send a shout out to all my customers. It's Dave Reeves from Reeves Complete Auto Center in Canyon Country.
Reeves, Santa Clarita's choice for quality customer and automotive care.
I've been in automotive service my whole life. I learned customer service and honest communication make the difference.
Reeves, where customers matter.
I really appreciate your business and hope to serve you in the future. Thank you very much.
Reeves, on Ruther in Canyon Country.
Want to go back in time to the days when a restaurant meant a place where families gather and friends meet? Try Telly's, now serving comfort food that will warm your heart and soothe your soul. From mouth-watering old-fashioned breakfasts and dinner specials that will make you feel like you're at home. The original Telly's Char Burgers up bouquet just past Haskell. Try Telly's, now serving comfort food that will warm your heart and soothe your soul. Food, family, friends. What better way to share a meal?
The Santa Clarita Artists Association has a new gallery in downtown Newhall on 6th Street between Main and Railroad, right across from the Canyon Theater Guild. The gallery features our members' paintings, sculptures, and one-of-a-kind handcrafted gift items. Whether you're an art lover, buyer, or an artist wishing to join, visit our website at santaclaritaartist.org, come to our free monthly meetings at Barnes & Noble, or stop by the gallery. For upcoming events and exhibits, check us out at santaclaritaartist.org. We make visual art visible.
Do you like to rock across Africa?
Then the wait is over.
Africa Rocks! Africa's Greatest Hits is now available at the San Diego Zoo! And who could forget 99 red baboons?
Or the African crested porcupine smash hit, I Got Quills to Pay the Bills! Hey, don't get too close!
And the hits keep on coming!
Africa Rocks has all your favorites from 6 different African habitats.
Hungry like a leopard!
Ibex is back!
Harder, better, Fossa stronger!
And a new track from Kendrick Lieber!
Now, Larry.
Yes, Chuck?
A collection of this magnitude, I'd fly to Africa.
Well, don't pack your bags, friend. Africa Rocks is only available right here at the San Diego Zoo.
Wow, that really does rock.
No, it Africa Rocks.
Welcome to Africa Rocks. Experience 6 different African habitats, including our first ever aquatic enclosure with African penguins. Only at the San Diego Zoo.
Drug and alcohol use can lead to troubles at school or work, relationship problems, financial or legal difficulties, medical and psychiatric issues. I'm Bob Sheritz, the host of the Way Out Recovery Hour, airing every Monday at noon. The Way Out Recovery Hour features prominent guests and organizations discussing the epidemic of drugs and alcohol in our valley. Don't miss the Way Out Recovery Hour every Monday at noon. Asking for help is the first step. There is the way out.
At Advanced Audiology, we know how important hearing is to you, your loved ones, your work success, your safety, and your ability to stay in the game. Most people won't admit hearing loss to themselves or others. We make it easy for you. Today's digital hearing aids come in a variety of styles, including invisible. All feature-rich, providing unparalleled hearing quality, wearing comfort, and automation that simplifies your life. Don't be fooled by our imitators. There's only one Advanced Audiology with the purple sign, next to AAA on Valencia Boulevard.
Hometown. Your hometown station.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Dr. Gene Dorio with my co-host Barbara Cochran on your hometown station KHTS. We're talking with Gabe Perez, who's with Henry Mayo Hospital, physical therapist, and we're talking about senior activity and exercise that could be helpful. But many times, Gabe, people mention core strength. Can you talk a little bit about that? We have just a few moments here,
Sure.
2 or 3 minutes to go through this, but I think our seniors are always asking, how do we increase this thing called core strength?
So a lot of people think when they look at their core, they think they're six-pack muscles. So, when you're young, you want the six-pack muscles, which is great. But again, it really doesn't do anything for your back and your quote-unquote core. So there's a few muscles in the core that we tend to focus on as physical therapists. One's called your transverse abdominis muscle. It acts like a corset, and it kind of holds everything together. It actually attaches to the spine. So it keeps your spine in good alignment, makes sure there's not too many forces on the spine. If you put too many, if you bend forward, you put a lot of pressure on the discs. If you bend backwards, like you overarch your back, you may put a lot of stress on what are called facet joints in the back of the spine. Mm-hmm. And those tend to get arthritic as you get older. So if you hear of somebody with stenosis or, like spondylosis, those tend to be the joints that are culprits for pain. So we as physical therapists try to maintain a neutral spine, meaning your natural curve. And we use these core muscles to stabilize your spine. So what we like to say is, you want to kind of, they're core muscles, but we want to try to tighten your stomach. So if you were to put your thumbs into your sides and you press outward, you'll feel a little pressure. And that tends to be activating your transverse abdominis muscle. And that being said, if you can kind of maintain that tension, it kind of holds your core together while you do other activities such as pushing, pulling, lifting. So we try to incorporate this transverse abdominis activation into our other exercises such as leg lifts, hip exercises, that sort of thing. That way we can translate it into real world experiences, because that's the goal with physical therapy. We're trying to get these exercises to turn into real functional things, which things you do all the time. That way
makes it easy.
Yeah, it makes it easy to incorporate in your everyday lives.
Well, it's interesting because when I get up, before I get out of the bed, normally,
right,
unless I forget and bound out and stumble,
sure,
I usually do a lot of stretching. And
Good.
One of the things I do is I'm lying flat. I pick up my knees and put myself into a sitting position.
Okay.
And boy, you can really feel it.
Yeah, but that may be a way to strain your back. I would probably suggest that you roll on your side and then bring your legs off the bed. We call that a log roll transfer. We tend to
Yeah,
we
I
have
use
patients do that with our back patients right after surgeries. We go into the room, we teach them how to get out of bed properly because we don't want to strain the back. For you probably have a very strong back and strong core, so it's not a problem. But for a lot of our listeners, that's one of the first things we look for when we do an evaluation. We're trying to make sure they don't get out of bed that way because, again, it puts a lot of strain on the low back.
Well, I do go over
that.
on my
I mean,
side.
yeah,
I do. But that's one of the stretches I do.
Okay. If you just bring
And
your
it's-
knees to your chest, you could definitely stretch out your back. But I would try to avoid just pushing yourself up that
Well,
way.
I roll up, actually, is what I
Okay.
do. And if I fall, I'm on the bed, and I'll
Right.
just fall back on the bed.
Yeah. Well, I grab my knee and let the center of gravity change, and that rolls me forward so I can get out of bed. That's what I do nowadays. So all this great information, Gabe, that you're giving us, I hope we have you back on the show again.
Oh, I'd
because
be happy to come back.
We want to make sure we get this information that our seniors know, that exercise plays a role in life. Whether you can run up the Eiffel Tower or
Right.
the Empire State Building, doesn't matter. You just need to be exercising, and that's a key point. Gabe, thanks for being on the show
Thank you guys
today.
for having me.
We appreciate it. Well, Happy New Year to everybody. It's coming up. I want to
Absolutely.
mention that next week at the Senior Center, I'll be giving a talk on how to keep your health good in 2018. It'll be at 1 o'clock next Wednesday. So, Barb, Gabe, everybody here, Happy New Year to you all.
Thank
Happy
you,
New
and
Year.
same to you.
Yeah.
I
And
can't
we are-
believe it's the end of
End
the
of
year.
We are
again.
sponsored by Advanced Audiology and Cover Keepers in Home Care. Listen to us next week on the Senior Hour. Now go and enhance your quality of life.